Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's topic is going to be the first jhana. In total, there are 8 jhanas that are taught in the ancient Theravadan Buddhist literature or the Pali Canon. And as this topic tends to be rather complex, or is indeed very, very hard, I prepared some slides to illustrate the points. And as this is a rather serious and very beneficial topic, I omitted the introductory meme this time. So first and foremost, we want to have a definition for jhana. What is jhana? Literally, from Pali, it translates to something like glowing, if I remember correctly. And it is a state of concentration, bliss and joy. And why is it desirable? Well, first of all, because this bliss and joy feel better than anything you can imagine. And it increases your ability to concentrate to superhuman levels. And this has a huge carryover into everyday life, since some of that ability to concentrate and to suppress background thoughts has a carryover, obviously. And further, it eradicates information that conflicts with reality from your head or from your mind. AKA, when you dwell, let's say, in the jhanic states, you correct your view to some extent, if you correctly direct your attention in it, or contemplate correctly afterwards. But it leaves you in a state where you can achieve a lot in very little time. And once you experience jhana and strong mindfulness, it makes the regular feeling of alertness and awakeness feel like sleeping. It will feel like you've been asleep all your life. And everything worthwhile in your life profits from this experience. Okay, let's now come to the short Buddhist definition of jhana, or how he describes it in the ancient texts. And he pretty much states that the first jhana describes a monk that is quietly secluded from sensual pleasures and unskilled qualities, who enters and remains in the first jhana. And in the first jhana he experiences rapture and pleasure born from withdrawal or seclusion that is accompanied by thought and evaluation. And the monk permeates and pervades and suffuses and fills his very body with the rapture born from seclusion. And there is nothing of his entire body unpervaded by rapture and pleasure. So as you can see, this state is described as rather ecstatic. It is very desirable by any commoner, let's say. And one explanation for this might be that the brain constantly rewards or punishes you for something. And if there is only one thing going on in your mind because you are so concentrated, and that thing is either slightly good or good, you will constantly feel rewarded, and you start a feedback loop of positive physical and mental feelings. Okay, and now I want to illustrate the process as at an example mind map or picture. As we have a picture of a human brain here, and in this human brain there are lots of concepts and mental models that I displayed as small mind maps. And those things are typically connected to the senses, aka the feeling, the tactile sense, the hearing, the auditory sense, the seeing, the visual sense, the tasting, the smelling, and the thinking, which is considered the sixth sense in Buddhism. And then in the middle here we have a sense of self-awareness, which isn't in the classical literature sense, but I still like to display it here since it's a very important concept. And as you begin concentrating and meditating, you shut out all those senses altogether, and you start typically with the seeing as you close your eyes. And as you are not eating during meditation, you also shut out the tasting. And as there's often nothing to smell anyway, you always also shut out the smelling. That leaves you with thinking and hearing and feeling and some sense of self. The more you concentrate on the breath here, as indicated by the red circle, the more the hearing goes into the background and leaves you with more and more thinking and some sense of self. And if you concentrate on the breath long and strong enough, even the thinking goes into the background and leaves you with just a sense of breathing, with just the physical sensation of the breath. And once you focus on the breath long enough, even the breath starts to vanish, and instead of a breath, there comes a feeling of calmness and physical pleasure once you switch your attention from the breath you cannot feel anymore to a pleasant physical sensation like the smile or the physical sensation of your cupped hands as you typically hold your hands like that during a meditation. And the longer you focus on this physical sensation, the stronger it gets. And your mind is very eager to leap out to this sensation as it's typically very good. It feels very good. And the mind willingly concentrates on things that feel very good. And the more you do it, the more even the sense of self and self-awareness gets into the background and leaves you with just one thing, with just the feeling of piti and some other random stuff that is going on in the background. And as you focus on it, it will get stronger and stronger, and it will be the only thing you can really experience. And at some point it will suddenly explode in a sense, and it feels like a stream of water gushes into your face or something like that. And that's the moment when you typically enter the first jhana and can profit from those states. And it's rather easy to, well, determine if you have been in the first jhana, as there's absolutely no mistake that your regular perception has stopped and left you with something entirely different, let's say. And this is how you enter the first jhana. But it's actually not that easy, as this process is very complicated and has lots of preconditions. And in summary, what are those preconditions? Well, first, to enter jhana, you have to be able to focus solely on a pleasant physical sensation for a very long time. Not even the slightest desire is allowed, or you won't be able to enter the first jhana. The problem is, to only feel a pleasant physical sensation, you have to be in excess concentration. That is a state that is very concentrated, but not yet concentrated enough, because the brain and mind can only fully concentrate on something if it feels pleasant to an extent, or if it's very experienced in it. And for that you have to focus on either the smile or the cupped hands or any other physical sensation in your body that feels pleasant to you. And to achieve excess concentration, you have to maintain indistractability on the breathing until you cannot sense the breath anymore. Then you can switch your attention. And to concentrate on the breath, you have to be able to overcome the 5 hindrances. And the 5 hindrances are, well, mechanisms in your mind, in every person's mind, to be honest, that generate distracting thoughts. And those hindrances are lust and hatred and worry and flurry and sloth and torpor and so on. So things that typically draw us away from concentration. You could call them drives, as they push you in the direction they want to and hinder you from doing just one thing. And to overcome those hindrances, you have to weaken them, and you have to behave somewhat moral and try really hard to concentrate for up to an hour or even more for the first time you do it. And then you have a chance to enter the first jhana. But that requires a lot of work. I would compare it with, for example, learning math at university or learning programming for the first time. it might be comparable with that amount of effort you have to put in. It might even require 500 hours of practice or something like that. And not even then will every person be able to experience those states, depending on their personal conditions. Okay, that's pretty much it for today. I hope you can profit from the content of this video and put it into practice, and I hope I can motivate you to do so. If you enjoyed the content of this video, feel free to like and subscribe. And if you feel like I missed something or failed to explain something properly, feel free to let me know in the comment section. And until then, I wish you a pleasant day and goodbye.